pledge, because Paul Stanley's here.
Finally.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming. So nice to see everybody, and especially in person. All right, we don't have anyone who's asked to speak on items outside the agenda, so we'll just start with the agenda. The first item is the report of the secretary. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of Wednesday, June 17th?
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of Wednesday, June 17th, 2020.
Second.
Second for Paul. All right, did anybody have any changes or corrections?
Just one, on the bottom of page 2, Mr. Lee stated Elliott's looking to put in a sidewalk instead of drive to school, hoping to elevate some of the school traffic. I think it's either eliminate or alleviate.
Alleviate it, because yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to elevate it.
Unless they're building a bridge.
Trying to get those numbers out.
We're trying to get trying to get that traffic number up.
So much winning.
That would get a stoplight faster though if we did that.
I think in the line just above that, Elliott Elementary School area, so that more families may be able to walk to school.
To and from the Elliott Elementary School area.
Yeah,
So that more.
Instead of to have.
Instead of
Yeah.
to have.
More
so
families.
So that.
Because of the may be able, yes.
all right.
And then on the fourth line down in that same piece, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth line down, sorry. It starts, she stated at this time there are no decisions nor recommendations being made. So just, I think, scratch out the is and put are. And where are you? The fifth line down in that same number 1 section with the sentence she stated. She stated at this time,
Okay.
there are instead of is, and then decisions, just cross out and then you can just make no nor, and I think that she stated this time there are no decisions nor recommendations being made.
I said one same thing in that same paragraph. It's the budget increase of 1.94%, not 1.4%.
1.9.
1.94%.
Okay. 1.94.
And Elaine, I just had one on page 6, under the administrator section, the third line, the have a number of tutors. I think it should be they.
What's there again?
The third line, instead of the have, it should be they have a number of tutors for a 5-week, 3 days,
Oh, okay.
4 hours, whatever. Anybody else have anything else? All right, all those in favor then? Yay! Just raise our hands.
No roll call.
No roll call, yay! Get so sick of me saying all that. All right, that's it for me.
Fantastic. Madam Chairperson, thank you very much. The first item on my agenda this evening is speaking about the possibility of adding a Rollinsford student to our student school committee candidates. So currently, we have not allowed that in the past, but the question was raised that if a student from Marshwood High School, I know Katie mentioned it as well, wanted to be involved as a student representative to the board, could they be from Rollinsford? So that was kind of one of the questions that we wanted to bring up. I kind of outlined in the document that I had sent some different pros and cons around that. I think some of the cons that we just want to be aware of that have come up in the past has been really that relationship with Rollinsford being a tuition-based relationship. And so I think sometimes that can get confusing for people. And so obviously when we have students, they are our students, but at the same time there is a relationship there. So for instance, I think Carrie and I had a number of conversations this fall regarding people who were moving to Rollinsford and then asking to be able to come to Marshwood prior to 7th grade at no cost. And obviously, that's a difficult conversation because I think as a community, we kind of lump the three together, but there is some differences, and it's hard at times to be able to navigate that. But as much as we want to be welcoming, we just need to need to actually be aware what the relationship is. That being said, the other side of the argument, I think, is that if students, at our school, there are students, they're all our students, and we don't ever really break down people by community, so we don't say, we could have one representative from South Berwick, one from Elliott. We've never kind of done that before. So those are kind of the two sides to the argument. So I just wanted the discussion, excuse me. I just wanted to present that to the board and just kind of get your feeling as to how we would like to proceed.
I want to add some data to that discussion, because this actually happened this week, that a friend and neighbor of mine reached out to me via one of the messaging services in social media, asking me why we didn't have anybody from Rollinsford on the board.
On our
And-
school
and
board?
On the school, as a school board director, and thought it was amiss since we had all these Rollinsford kids in the district. And I explained the relationship to that person, and when I did, the answer was, oh, yeah, of course, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think there is a perception, I think people are forgetting that the relationship is founded upon that tuition in.
Absolutely.
I don't know how to repeat it without sounding like we're being spirited about it, though.
Exactly.
Because I also emphasized the point that once these kids are in here, we make them feel every bit as much as they are Hawks, and they know they're Hawks.
Yeah.
So I mean, that to the question of whether we should have a student rep from Elliott on the board, I wonder if a different way to approach it would be to say, should we make the Elliott, sorry, Elliott. Should we make the Rollinsford students eligible to be nominated as a student rep?
Right, and that's real.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the question, yes.
Because right now, they aren't able to apply, but the bylaws actually say 2 students from Marshwood High School.
Yeah.
It doesn't say from Elliott, South Berwick, or Rollinsford at this
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
So, that's just the question.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to make sure
Yeah.
it wasn't that we were proposing a third student rep.
No,
Okay.
no, that would be just Rollinsford,
Yeah.
no, because
Yeah.
right now, I think we have 2 South Berwick. Sometimes we have an Elliott and a South
Yeah.
Berwick,
Yeah.
sometimes it's been 2 Elliott, it
Student
doesn't.
rep is very
doesn't
different
matter.
than board.
Very
Board
different,
is-
very
It's
different, yeah.
representing the kids in the school, so it
Yeah.
really shouldn't matter what town they're from.
Right,
Yeah. I
Right.
think it's yet another way to drive home the idea that these kids are Hawks.
right.
Yes.
I'm sort of, I think I'm in favor. I haven't heard an argument against it yet.
I will say that we did check legality of it,
Yep.
just as far as that works. And since they're non-voting members of the board, we were more than welcome to do that.
Yeah.
If they were voting members, it would obviously make a huge difference, as Paul just alluded to. But so we did get a legal opinion on that.
And they have the ability to be on the Rollinsford School Board as a student
Yes.
rep, but I can see that's not as inviting to them because they're representing K through 6
Yeah.
and they're in high school. Like, they want to make changes where they're in high school.
Yep.
So to me, that makes more sense for, if somebody from Rollinsford wants to do board work, that they should do it here,
Yep.
where they can represent their high school.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of my general opinion.
The only thing I would add is, we just want to be careful on how we promote this with people, because I just think dominoes start to fall unintentionally, and I think as things get more comfortable, questions have to be raised. So for example, a question that was asked after graduation is that there was a photo taken of the graduation packet, booklet, jacket, excuse me, and it said South Berwick and Elliott on it. And the question was, can we add Rollinsford? And so again, having that conversation that, Rollinsford pays tuition for those students to attend, and that tuition agreement could end, 4 years from now, is a very different conversation. So you need to do that respectfully, but at the same time, there is some differences. So just being mindful as we go forward.
Yeah.
Because those questions are going to continue to happen as the relationship grows.
Same friend, same question
Yep.
about the names on the packet.
Yep.
My answer was that those town names reflect the towns that are in the district.
That's correct.
Yeah.
A very inquisitive friend you have.
If I said too much more, you'd probably figure out who it is.
But I think you can really do the difference in that if you make it any student, any junior, or any sophomore at Marshwood High School.
Yes.
So the restriction is you have to be a student at Marshwood
at
High
Marshwood,
School.
absolutely.
And you have to be a sophomore. So, I don't know. I don't know.
It might be an opportunity to reinforce the nature of the relationship. at the same time.
Yes.
And I hate to exclude somebody who really wants to do the work.
Yeah.
Because some years we've had 4 or 5 people apply.
Yep.
I mean, they've told us that we have, and other years they've had 1.
Beat the bushes.
So, and they've been like pulling teeth to get people to apply, so I think it just depends, but
Yeah.
if they're asking and if they want to be part of the work, I think that they, I don't know.
I think since we're such huge advocates of student voice and inclusivity, I don't see an option here other than absolutely, yes.
And everybody has to go through the same process, so just because they apply doesn't mean they'll be chosen.
That's
They,
right.
the student gov has their, whatever their process is, and they will have equal footing with anybody from any other town, just like everybody else does.
Right.
And I agree, Lisa. I think it would feel funny to say, that, we're going to include everybody except for this.
Yeah.
I think that has
Yeah,
a
yeah.
different feel to it. But
Especially right now. Like,
Yeah.
just extra.
And I do think it's something that's evolved over time.
yes, absolutely.
You know, I think the relationship has evolved over time, and some things haven't been 100% considered that maybe they were. You know, it's kind of like it's how we've done it.
Absolutely.
Why do we do it that way?
How many years has it been now
You know?
that we've had, I think, I
I
lost
think it
track.
was,
Is this going to be the starting of year 6?
Wow.
Well, our current seniors was the first year, they were 8th graders when the first year of the agreement went into place officially, because when they were 7th grade, we had a pile of them that tuitioned in. So
Yeah.
this would be, we just concluded year 5.
Okay.
So next year will be year 6.
Okay.
okay.
So they're seniors this year, they just graduated?
They just graduated.
They just graduated, okay, yeah, got it.
So this current senior class, the class of 2021, will be the first group of Rollinsford students who have gone through
All
Marshall
the way.
Middle School and the high school without
the
paying
way.
an additional tuition out of pocket.
Wow.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
And it's a great relationship. I mean,
Absolutely.
We really like it.
That's exciting. I'm excited about that opportunity for the Rollinsford students.
It sounds like we have some consensus. Does anybody else
Yeah.
feel differently? Does that-
Somebody-
So we can share that news that we absolutely would love
Yeah.
to open it up to any Marshall High School student and phrase it that way, to be
Yeah.
involved.
That's good.
And when you do the bylaws next
Yes.
meeting, just make sure it's worded exactly how you want it to.
Okay.
But I think right now it just says to, I don't think it gives any specifics, so it might be fine.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
just make
yeah.
sure you have it worded how you
Absolutely.
want it to be.
Okay. And I guess, just to take it one step further, that we would also include any student that was paying tuition on their own as well, in that same conversation. So
Any
we-
student
I
in
think
Marshall.
True.
any
Marshall.
student.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it would, and I don't know if we want to say sophomore, but it would probably have to be a sophomore. Because they would be going into their junior year, so they apply when they're sophomores,
Yeah,
correct?
unless someone dropped out.
we-
Yeah, so I think just
Well,
any student.
Yeah.
Remember us,
Don't confuse it.
not since I've been on board, has anybody who
No
was
one's
the
quit.
junior rep dropped out before she did.
Yes.
It's always been.
Yeah, but there's always a chance
Sure,
somebody could
sure.
move or something, so
Yep.
we don't want to have to change it around.
Okay. All right,
Any
cool.
student.
Thank you very much for the feedback. We'll carry that on to the next meeting, and when we review the bylaws, we'll make sure that that is clear.
Should
So-
be.
Okay. Our second thing on the agenda is a presentation. So just give me 1 second, I'm going to get what I need.
Did you bring tissues, Gary?
Nope, not crying today.
About what?
My whole family's there. Do you see them
I
back
saw
there?
that.
Okay.
I was wondering if you brought tissues. And the mask can double.
That's right, you did look.
Oh my goodness. That's great.
Hey?
What the heck?
Happy to check
Welcome to our celebration COVID-19 style. Karen, we just want to thank you for everything you've done for us.
Thank
We got your rocking
you.
chair.
Nice. Oh, that's
Your
beautiful.
name and your service date, and then we also asked Chartwell's to make your favorite cookies that you love. We created some goodie bags with some other things in there for everybody, but just a heartfelt
Oh my goodness.
true appreciation for everything that you've done. I just, as I said the last meeting, I
Oh.
just,
Thank you so
you and
much.
inspiration to us all, your leadership, your passion, your compassion dealing with people have just been, so noteworthy, and we love you to death. I just thank you for everything, and you guys are going to have more time with your mom, that's for sure, but I just want you to know that she'll be surely missed, so.
Good thing or bad thing? Oh, ask him.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know if they could get more time with me than they have right now. Seems like,
John, while you're doing that, can I speak? Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
so I didn't speak at the last meeting very much. I was too verklempt. And I hope you'll forgive me for saying this, but I remember just how nervous you were when you took over the board. chair
Oh, do
from your
you?
predecessor.
Yes.
Who was
We all
herself
knew you were gonna
something
be
of a rock
great.
star. And
It was very, very
you have done a
nerve-wracking.
spectacular job.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's all because
Steady
of
hand on the
the,
helm.
it's the great people that you surround yourself with, right? Like, what a great, we've had so much fun.
So you're saying you rigged all those elections?
But,
Well, can you read the next?
yeah, no, I appreciate that.
It's
So
been
I was
fun.
really nervous.
I know you
I
were.
remember.
I
remember how
knew
nervous you were.
I was so nervous. I used to write like notes as to everything I was going to say. I would type them up before every meeting. It was scary.
You've knocked it out of
We're
the
gonna
park.
Oh,
miss you
thank
so
you.
much.
Yeah.
Of course, you're writing
Well,
over, so.
hard to.
Yeah, I haven't gone far, and yeah, I will definitely be around. You'll probably see me again because I've got a little something to pass on to the next chair that has to go from chair to chair. So you'll probably see me at the next meeting. But thank you, everyone,
Always.
and especially Mike.
We got you some delay.
Very nice.
So officially retired from the board. And we
Oh, that's awesome! Thank you so much. This is awesome. Yeah, it's been a blast. It really has been a blast. I wouldn't change anything. We've accomplished a lot.
So you are going to cry, aren't you?
I know, I'm trying not to, but it wouldn't be normal, right, guys? If I didn't cry. They've been so supportive over the years, Dan and Jacob and Nicholas, for those of you who don't know them. They might look a little different. They've got their COVID long hair going. So people are not recognizing them on the streets these days. Yeah, and obviously Mary's hair, such a blast. All those years.
It was a blast.
It was really fun. You know, anybody who's out there thinking about running, and I know Jen, you're here thinking about running, you know, or are running, I should say, not thinking about it. It's a great opportunity. You get to make a difference. You get to work with fabulous people, and it's a lot of fun. This may not be the best time to have fun, but it's still been fun. We've still made it work. So thank you so much. This is so special.
And
Thank
again,
you.
I'd like if you could give Carrie a round of applause. Just like
Thank you.
And there are no students here, so that concludes my report.
Yeah.
So.
You haven't seen the last of me. That's all I'm going to say. So. Oh, back to me. Okay. So Finance and Facilities is going to meet for the next meeting, right? Yeah, maybe?
I think so, yes.
Okay, all right.
Trying to remember, yes. I think so, yes.
Ed policy, who knows when. All right, so the next thing is we need a motion, going to start our new business. And need a motion to approve the administrators and directors' salaries.
We approve the contract provisions for the administrators and directors listed as the 2020-21 school year.
Second.
All right. There's nothing to discuss on these, so it's really just an up-down.
Yes.
But if anybody does have any questions. Thanks for coming, guys.
Bye, guys.
Wow.
If anybody does have any questions, I guess we could ask, but usually it's just a yay or a nay. So, all those in favor? Okay. They're all by contract. All right, and can we have a motion to nominate Scott Runing?
I move to nominate Scott Runing, Director of Special Services, $110,398, prorated to start date.
All right.
Second.
And his name is pronounced
So there's
Runing?
Runing.
Runing?
I
Yes.
know.
Okay.
Yep.
So who got that one, Paul or Sue?
You can give it to Sue.
Okay.
I took the last
You
one.
got the last.
I don't want to do this.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about Scott, John?
Yeah,
Some
so-
of us have met him, but
Yeah,
not
so,
all.
We had I would say an intensive interview experience where we had our first round of interviews where we had about, I think it was 16 people altogether who were involved with the process, where we got together and we narrowed down our field of candidates from, I think it was 16 down to 5. And once we had it down to 5, we invited everybody in for an interview where we created some questions where we had 3 different groups where people moved about between the different groups, as well as having a writing prompt. And so at that point in time, we were able to narrow it down to 3 candidates. We did a second round of interviews with a little bit smaller committee, and we brought Dr. Smith in to really kind of give that expertise in the area of special education. And so she drafted 11 tough questions. You know, it was intense and it was very precise. And so at the conclusion of that, Scott was our #1 candidate. He is currently serving as a superintendent in New Hampshire. He's been a special education director for 10 years prior to that. He lives in Elliott. Really excited about the opportunity to come and work in his home district, and really we're looking forward to really have someone coming in, taking that leadership role in special education from Jump Street. Just that's a really important position, obviously, in the district, as we've talked about in the past. And so we feel really fortunate that we found someone with such a great amount of experience. The staff was very excited. Really, his experience also with as a superintendent was very interesting to the group, because it also added a little bit of a bigger perspective. So rather than having just the microcosm, have the macro as well. So very, very exciting.
Excellent. And do you know when he's going to start?
Our hope would be August 1st.
Nice. I'm
so-
sure his district is,
Yeah.
superintendent, it's tough.
Yeah, and so I think once on how this vote goes, then we'll contact him, one way or the other, and then let him know, and then he'll have to work that out with his current employer, which is obviously a tough time. Fortunately, Dr. Smith has been able to kind of stay on for us and be kind of carrying us through over the summertime. So we do have kind of some
Nice.
in-person instruction that's going to be taking place starting at the end of July. So she'll be on site to be able to help us. So
Nice.
perfect.
Awesome. All right. All those in favor then? Wonderful. All right, and can I have a motion for the nomination of Tess Barbaro? Or Barbaro? Barbaro.
I move that we approve the nomination of Tess Barbaro, second-year probationary elementary teacher, Elliott Elementary School, BA 2, $44,743.
Was you, Lisa, right? Yeah. Okay. All right, John, can you tell us something about Tess?
I sure can. So the next 3 are going to be a little bit confusing, but Tess and Caitlin both were hired in 1-year only positions for some maternity leave. We had 3 maternity leaves at Elliott Elementary School.
Oh, okay.
And so their contracts ended, and if you remember back at the first meeting in May, we didn't take them from probationary 1 to probationary 2. And so we had an interview process. We had 2 of the people who did not come back who chose to stay home with their children, which is, happy for them to be able to do that. And then Mo interviewed, extensively with people who have been in the building and really loved Tess and Caitlin both. And so they'll be coming back for our second year for us. So they'll go,
Wonderful.
really, they're not a new hire. They're going to go from probationary 1 to probationary 2. So-
Excellent. All right. All those in favor then? All right, and the nomination for Caitlin as well.
I move we approve the nomination of Caitlin Barnard, second-year probationary elementary teacher, Elliott Elementary School, MA2, $49,217, 1 year only.
Second.
Can I just share one thing about the 1-year only?
Yeah,
Just for
I was
clarification.
going to ask about that.
Yeah. So we had a teacher, Megan Zarley Green, who asked for a 1-year leave. She has an opportunity to go, I believe, to South Korea to teach for a year. And so she requested a 1-year contract, and per the QBA contract, I was able to honor that.
Mhm.
And so we'll be bringing Caitlin back for 1 year to be able to fill that void with Megan leave. So
Excellent.
this
She's
is-
going to do all her probationary just like 1 year at a...
One at a time.
She may be in 3 different
Yeah.
grades.
The irony is, when you do the vote in May from probationary 1 to probationary 2, it's basically what you're doing, it's just we're doing it in a group of people at a time, but that's
Right.
the way that the law works. But
Right.
But
No.
just so you know,
No,
that's where that came from.
No, I think it's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, might as well have somebody who's here already.
Absolutely. And we did have a transfer from Elliott to Central School, so there was a little bit of a shuffling, so Caitlin's going to be able to stay at EES.
Perfect.
Even though Megan is actually a teacher at Central School. So
The
there was a little
continuity is wonderful.
shuffle. Yeah, absolutely. Mo was excited.
Yeah.
So, and she
Wonderful.
left us. That's another conversation. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
right, all those in favor? Can't pick on Mo, she's not.
That's right.
She's very upset about leaving.
Yeah.
All right, and how about the nomination of Deborah Phelps?
I move that we approve the nomination of Deborah Phelps, teacher, continuing contract, elementary teacher, central school, VA3, $45,643.
I'll second.
All right,
So Deborah is currently teaching at a central school. She just completed her third year, and so her name was not on the list in May when we did the vote to go from probationary 3 to continuing contract. And so what this opportunity is for her now to become a continuing contract teacher with us for the next year. So this will be kind of her 4th year within the district.
okay.
So there were some things we had to work out, and everything worked out perfectly. Deb does a fantastic job in the classroom, a passionate person, just full of energy. So we're really lucky to be able to continue that relationship. So we're happy.
Wonderful. Wonderful. All right, all those in favor? Okay. Does anybody else have anything before we adjourn? Rob, you got anything exciting for us?
Waiting for somebody to do the non-fogging,
Yeah.
non-fogging map.
Yeah.
I probably should blame my nose more than the mask. Nothing more than, I think, what was it, we met maybe was it a week or maybe 2 weeks ago? Just right now, the summer is full of kind of recovering from the spring and planning for the future. So we've got that summer program up and running. Our teachers are getting a little bit R&R. We're going to send a communication out in the next couple days with as much context that we know, because teachers like to be preparing for next year and because they're not sure exactly what it looks like. We put it under the category of just relax, do some thinking, be creative, because regardless of what we come back to, it's about good instruction and about the content you're delivering. So we're in that kind of trying to find that sweet spot of, before we know exactly what we can share with the teachers, giving them things to hang on to, like here's some things that you can be reading about, or look at some of the content and bring it down to those critical elements. So it has been an adjustment and calibrating our normal routines. I'm not pandering with this comment, but what a district to be in a place where we don't know what to expect, but that's not impacting people for investing and committing to the kids. Nothing more than just that summer program, and then our reopening planning committees are working really, really hard. We're trying to find the balance of letting people relax, but also give the information they need so they don't feel like they're just out there hanging. And folks have been responding, and it's, I think we're in pretty good shape. We'll get through it.
That's great to hear.
Can I add a couple of quick things
I
about
was
that?
going to say, are they going forward with the floor too? I wanted to ask
what?
about the gym floor.
Yeah, gym floor is getting done right now. As you could tell, kind of coming in. So that was some of the end of the year savings that the athletics department had. That's been a project that needed to get done. And if you look at the gym floor and you see the black in between each one of the boards start to widen, that this tells you that it's time for the floor to be done. And so that's the original floor. So it's been 20 years. They're supposed to get 15 years out of it. So we've been fortunate. Our custodians do a great job with it, but at some point you've got to sand it down and kind of start from zero again. So that's where we're at right now. So
Excellent.
beautiful, looks beautiful on the way out. It just looks like like your kitchen. Just wanted to touch base on kind of the fall planning that we're in the midst of. And so our hope is in the next, I'd like to get it out Thursday and maybe at the beginning of next week, but a parent survey, and really framing a parent survey around, where are you with having your child come back to school? So if we are in a full return, how do you feel about that if we're following CDC guidelines? If we're in a hybrid model, how would you feel about that? And then if we're in a remote learning environment, how would that be? And so we're going to ask basically 3 questions in that area. Then also one of the areas that will be things we're going to have to navigate is transportation. And so we're going to have to ask the transportation question, just finding, would you be using district transportation? Yes, no, sometimes, basically is what we're looking for. And we are going to ask people to identify themselves and what schools they're going to be at, because that will help us kind of gauge our planning a little bit to kind of find out. We have some hypotheses I think would be important. My gut feeling is that I don't think there's going to be a real issue with students necessarily staying home at the high school level, but I do think at the elementary school level, if there isn't a vaccine, that will be a little bit different scenario. So I think it's important that we gather that data ahead of time. So we're hopefully, as I said, the next couple of days, We have two committees. We have a district-wide committee, and that really is comprised of all our administrative team, and then the executive board of the QEA, and Judy Doran from the nursing staff. And that's the district-level committee, and then each building that has a kind of a subcommittee where they're going to be working kind of in the buildings themselves, and that's made up of 3 to 5 different staff members to make sure we get staff voice as part of that. That work is focused around 3 things: a full return to school, full remote, or some type of hybrid. And really, the 2 bookends, as I kind of explained before, I think kind of take care of themselves. It's the hybrids in the middle that's going to become very interesting, what those look like. So my understanding is that the state of Maine will release some guidelines shortly, and those guidelines will kind of help us frame things. I do want to mention, though, that Massachusetts has some guidelines that they put out about 4 weeks ago, and their guidelines changed last week significantly. And so just understanding that as the pandemic changes, kind of the guidelines tend to shift as well. So there may be some different changes that occur along the way. So Massachusetts went from, just to paraphrase, basically saying you can have 10 kids in a classroom with 2 adults. You must be 6 feet apart, till last week saying there's no number of students that you're allowed to have in a classroom, but they need to have a minimum of 3 feet and a desirable level of 6 feet apart. So that's a very drastic change from where it was before. That being said, some states are really doing well with kind of getting the pandemic more so under control. Some other places are having some flare-ups right now. So the next 2 weeks will be really telling as far as what the next step is for the state of Maine. So just to be aware of that, that's kind of where we're at. We did make a decision as the York County and Cumberland County superintendents that the Maine Principals Association said that athletics could start on July 6th, and there's some clear guidelines around that. We really felt like with the community transmission of the disease that we're going to push that off, and we're not going to start until August 6th. I just think it's the safest thing to do right now. People really kind of felt like if someone wrote on Twitter, if you need 25 pages to explain how to be safe, maybe we just want to be careful and go slow. And so,
And that's sort of normal starting time.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there will be no summer basketball in the gym. There'll be no weight room open. Those types of things.
I forgot about those
Yeah.
kind of off-season stuff.
But my fear would be that if we had an outbreak because of that, that would be just devastating for the community and devastating for us to return to school. And our number one priority is getting people back in the classrooms to learn. And so just so you're aware that that decision was made. The last thing I want to share with you is a work around diversity. I'm really excited to share that this afternoon I signed a contract with the Mars Group, and they're going to really do some equity training, diversity training, and really kind of looking at implied bias, implicit bias, and kind of framing that work over the next couple of years with the district. And so there's really 4 phases to the plan. Jermaine Moore is going to come in and help co-facilitate the group, and really with some clear kind of guidelines around how do we make this part of our curriculum, and how do we have these conversations with the staff, and really trying to build some capacity around this. We do have a district-wide committee that will be starting, but I'm really excited about the work that Jermaine proposed. It will be a great opportunity for us to kind of reflect and grow as a community. So I just wanted to share. I know I just said a lot. I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay. Somebody else got anything?
I'm going to add that as the unofficial keeper of school board time records,
Oh.
before John started talking, you had an opportunity for this to be your quickest meeting.
Oh.
But this will be.
He still holds the record.
You've got 4 minutes for it to be your second quickest.
Okay. He still holds the record.
I will always.
One of 2 meetings I wasn't at. Quickest
14
one.
minutes was Joe's record. You're never gonna
That was last July too, I think, if I remember correctly.
No, it was January.
It was the first year of the
Yeah.
calendar year.
It was when I was in
January-
London.
January
Yeah.
second.
Always a light agenda.
Yeah, it's always a light agenda.
It was 14 minutes.
And I stepped this board through that meeting in 14 minutes.
Model of efficiency.
I didn't even have time to log on. No. Well, thank you again for making me feel so special, for a wonderful send-off, John. Thank you for everything. Dan over there, thank you. And I will be back to haunt you. So
I hope so.
I will be. I will be. Can I have a motion to adjourn if no one has anything
I
else?
feel like you should make the motion this time, Karen.
Are you allowed
Okay.
to?
I make a motion to adjourn. Am I allowed?
I don't see why not.
Yeah. Okay. I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor?
No, we raise your hand. No.
Just take a few more minutes.
We're going.
Is that adding, is that going to go in your record book, Paul?
Yep, I put it in there. You still snuck under the gun.